During a family meal at my parents' house, I got a message from a number I didn't recognize. Stand up and exit immediately. Don't mention anything to your parents. I decided to follow the instruction. That's how I discovered the reality. The following day, law enforcement was at their front entrance. What's odd is how entirely normal everything seemed just before it all fell apart. I hadn't anticipated embraces, affection, or any sentimental moments. But I certainly wasn't ready for what actually happened. Something that, looking back, feels like the most perilous kind of snare. When existence seems regular, you drop your defenses. That's when it surprises you. I stepped through the door and my mother instantly shouted from the kitchen, "We're about to have dinner. Come along in. Come in." It felt like I had shown up late to some joyful event. My father stood up from his chair when I walked into the dining area a moment too gradually. Like he paused, uncertain whether we were exchanging hugs now or maintaining courteous acknowledgements. We acknowledged each other. Naturally, my sister was already seated at the table, casually browsing her phone with that mastered adolescent indifference she still maintained. She looked up briefly enough to notice me, then went back to her device, giving the minimum recognition necessary. That didn't trouble me. I wasn't there to charm anyone over. The table was properly set. My chair had been arranged for me. A cup sat at my spot, containing cranberry juice, exactly like before. Not enhanced with any festive touch, not adorable or styled, just regular juice, the type I once liked. My mother offered me a grin that seemed like part of an act, as if we were performing closeness. "You still enjoy cranberry, correct?" she inquired. I acknowledged. I hadn't consumed the beverage in months, but this wasn't the moment to begin that conversation. We took our seats. They brought the food. It was simple cuisine. Poultry, potatoes, and some variety of green beans. My father still acted to savor it, though we all understood otherwise. The discussion stayed light. "How's your job? Still in the identical place? Traffic's been terrible recently, right?" I replied. I grinned. I even laughed when my sister mentioned a colleague who became trapped in the rotating doors at her office. Not because it was amusing, but because I understood how to perform my role. The reserved one, the dependable one, the one who didn't create conflict. Halfway through my father's usual complaint about street repairs, my phone vibrated on my lap. Without much consideration, I looked at it under the table. The text was short. No identity included. No emoticons or informal punctuation, just statements concluding with definite periods, like someone frantically attempting to appear composed. "Stand up and exit immediately. Don't mention anything to your parents." I gazed at it, then reviewed it once more. The space continued around me. My mother agreeing with whatever my father was discussing. My sister consuming her meal. All of it occurring like a typical family gathering. Yet, I was being instructed to depart. As if the residence had abruptly become a hazardous location. I didn't budge. Not immediately. Multiple explanations rushed through my mind. Perhaps it was a joke, a wrong number, a fraud, or the beginning for some social study I hadn't consented to. But inside, I understood it wasn't any of those. Somehow, I simply understood. "I'll return shortly," I announced, pushing my seat back from the table. "Just need to visit the restroom." Nobody questioned it. Nobody even glanced up. I grabbed my phone and went upstairs because the upper bathroom had an entrance that shut completely and secured without sticking. And because if anyone was going to have a confidential discussion in this residence, it wasn't going to occur on the ground level. I secured the door, sat on the rim of the tub, and examined the message again. Then I pressed call. It rang once, then a voice. "You're still present? Who is this?" "It's Mark." Mark, my sister's partner or former partner. It was difficult to track. What on earth is happening? His tone was quiet, strained, like he was positioned somewhere he shouldn't be. "You must depart. Just stand up. Exit. Don't consume anything. Just leave. Don't drink the juice. My throat was parched. I hadn't touched the juice. Not yet. Why? I cannot. Just believe me, please. What is this? I questioned. Why are you even what's occurring? He paused. Please, just escape from there. Not until you explain why. He expressed something then. I didn't reply. I remained there for a period after the conversation concluded. Long enough to sense the chill from the bathroom floor through my clothing. Long enough to realize I had a decision and I'd already chosen it. Brief note, this narrative is protected by the YouTube channel Revenge with Claire. Republishing, re-recording, or modifying it without authorization is still copyright violation. Thank you for honoring original creative content. Now, returning to the narrative. Being the elder sister didn't include a ritual, just obligation. Silent, presumed, and infinite. We were 3 years separated. When we were children, our parents provided us $5 weekly. I preserved mine. She didn't. A few days later, she'd used it all on candy or sparkly pens or whatever elementary school's marketplace was founded on. And then she'd observe me. That's when the adult intervened. She doesn't possess any remaining. You still do. Don't be greedy. That's how it began. Not a regulation, just a routine. If I conserved, I was anticipated to distribute. If she overspent, I was anticipated to remedy it. In secondary school, I obtained a part-time position, just a few weekends at a drugstore, sufficient to purchase my own pants without a dispute. My sister didn't labor. She was younger, and nobody anticipated her to. But if she desired anything additional, guess who received encouragement? She really wishes to view that film. She doesn't possess her own funds yet. You do. They still handle the necessities, but anything beyond that became my concern. When I departed for university, things settled down. I was occupied, poor, and 2 states distant. My sister was still in secondary school, and for a time, it seemed like I'd purchased myself some distance. Then I completed my studies, secured a junior developer position. Entry-level salary, basic advantages, barely sufficient to handle rent and loan installments. But to my parents, it was a fortune. The requests began gradually. Could you assist with her registration payment? Textbooks are so costly these days. She's just really anxious. She just began university studying something vaguely finance-related. She didn't labor, didn't plan, didn't approach me directly. That was always the routine. She'd approach them and they'd approach me. And initially, I agreed because I believed now that I was making money, assisting would seem easier. It didn't. The more I earned, the more they desired, and not once did it seem like mine. Then there was the liquor. In my early 20s, I discovered painfully that my system doesn't process it. Half a beverage and I'm unconscious. Once I lost consciousness from 2 tastes of wine. Since then, nothing. Not even bubbly at ceremonies. My family always understood. But truly accepting it was different. Come on, just a bit. Don't be such a spoilsport. It's not like you're sensitive. I'd refuse. They'd show annoyance like I was being unrealistic. But it was never really about the beverage. It was about how effortlessly they disregarded me when it didn't benefit them. A few years into my profession, I received a mid-level advancement. It wasn't revolutionary, but it was a genuine step ahead. I contacted my parents to communicate the information. My mother responded, "That's wonderful. So, how much are you making now?" Then followed, "Do you believe you could fund your sister's semester overseas? She's so excited about it." No congratulations, just the same procedure. Request, anticipate, continue. So, I ceased agreeing. There was no major declaration about establishing limits. I just silently stopped. No more just this instance. No more treating my bank account like a shared resource. Maybe I'd still purchase her a coffee occasionally, but the position of financier ended. And then arrived the silence. No messages, no telephone calls, just that heavy stillness that somehow still seemed noisy, like they were disciplining me with their absence. Weeks went by. Then the silence broke open. Your sister requires assistance. It's urgent. They suggested a figure. $12,000. They wouldn't clarify why. Only that she required it, that I could manage it, that I was her sister. I declined. They continued pressuring. So, I contacted her directly. And that's when the reality emerged. She'd been wagering. She'd lost. Now she owed funds. Funds she couldn't repay. She was in finance. Now, if this became known, it wouldn't just cost her employment. It would destroy her profession. Nobody employs someone with a gambling history in this area, she stated. If people discover, I'm ruined. I inquired, has this occurred previously? She didn't reply. But I didn't require her to. I told her directly. No, not later. Not partially. Just no. I've been assisting you for as long as I can recall, I stated. But this I won't handle. Not this instance. Not ever again. She labeled me heartless, told me I didn't comprehend. Perhaps she was correct. Or perhaps I finally just didn't desire to. After that, they excluded me. 3 weeks of complete silence. Then came the gradual return. A shared meme from my father, a photograph of the yard from my mother, a TikTok from my sister, no description, and eventually an invitation. We're having dinner. Just the family. Hope you'll join. No reference to the funds, no apologies. Just dinner. I persuaded myself they'd accepted it, that they'd reconciled with where I positioned myself. So when they invited me to participate, I agreed. But something about Mark seemed wrong. His voice was subdued, almost expressionless, but there was stress hidden below. It's the juice, he stated quietly. I believe they added something to it. Liquor perhaps, or something different. I'm uncertain. But I believe they're planning for you to lose consciousness. The space around us was completely silent. White tile flooring, the faint hum of a ceiling fan, distant sounds of cutlery from below. I didn't reply. Why? I eventually questioned. Another short silence. They want to access your phone. Use your fingerprint. I lifted the glass, angled it slightly, and gave a small smile. It tastes exactly how I recall, I mentioned. However, I didn't consume a single drop. Afterward, I inquired casually, was that someone driving into the driveway? All of them turned to observe. That's when I silently moved the glass under the table, tilted it, and allowed the juice to drip out onto the rug. Not the entire amount, just sufficient to make it believable. It absorbed quickly. I just feel strange, exhausted. My mother moved closer. Her gaze was full of gentleness and worry, like we were engaging in a different game now. Are you all right? Yes, I replied. Just a little dizzy. I believe I need to rest for a moment. Nobody hesitated. They assisted me to the sofa like I was delicate, like they were caregivers, not criminals. I reclined, shut my eyes, attempted not to consider how rapidly my pulse was racing. Just breathe evenly, slowly, don't react. The sofa cushion was heated beneath my shoulder. Someone placed a blanket across my legs, and then I heard it. Is she sleeping? My mother murmured. Yes, she's unconscious, my sister stated. All right, my father responded. Let's accomplish this swiftly. I heard the noise of my phone being lifted, then something more disturbing. Fingers wrapping around my hand, my thumb being raised gently, but with intention, my skin pushed against the sensor. A break, then a slight vibration, opened. There was something silently terrifying about it. The effortless cooperation, the reality that they didn't pause, they simply acted. All right, my sister murmured. We're inside. Additional tapping. The noise of digits being typed. Account number? My father whispered quietly. She has everything stored. How much are we taking? My mother inquired. Not everything, my father stated. Just sufficient to resolve it. Resolve what? I maintained my breathing regular. I kept my eyes shut. She won't even realize. My mother stated if it processes cleanly, she'll simply believe she moved it herself. I informed you. My sister mentioned she always loses consciousness after a beverage. We just required her to sleep through it. There it was spoken aloud. All three of them united. A touch, a break. It's requesting a passcode, my sister stated. Passcode, my mother said. Two-step verification, my sister mumbled. She modified it. My father swore quietly, a gentle, annoyed exhale. Attempt another application. Tapping. Still tapping. Same issue. Everything's secured. They remained silent for a moment. Then my mother stated, just return the phone. They did. No regrets, no reconsideration, no hesitation. I waited, provided them space to sit again, comfort themselves. Then I opened my eyes, sat up gradually, blinked like someone just awakening from a light rest. Sorry, I stated. Don't understand what that was. Felt like I lost consciousness for a moment. They observed me like they didn't recognize what I was. You certain you're all right? My father inquired. Yes, I stated. I believe I just need some outdoor air. I grabbed my phone, held it like nothing had occurred, like it hadn't just been used against me. Actually, I think I'm going to return home. I have work early tomorrow. They acknowledged. No objection, no uncomfortable offer to escort me out. Just a gentle chorus of, thanks for visiting. Get home safely. Inform us when you're back. Like we hadn't just violated a boundary we couldn't return from. At the entrance, we embraced like we always did. My mother, my father, my sister, one following another. It wasn't arranged. It simply occurred. Custom, tradition, instinct. And as soon as it began, something shattered. My mother's fragrance, my father's coat, my sister's hand touching my arm. Regular things, familiar things, and all of them contaminated. Now I sensed it rising in my chest. This burden I didn't understand how to bear. This is the final time, I thought. This is the final time I'm embracing them. After tonight, we don't recover from this. I nearly wept. I didn't, but nearly. I stepped backward, smiled like I wasn't falling apart. Thank you for the meal, I stated. They smiled. I opened the entrance and I departed. I didn't inform them what I understood. I didn't inquire what they added to the glass. I didn't speak a word. But before I exited the bathroom that evening, I did precisely what they never anticipated. I didn't prevent them from accessing my phone. I made it simple. Left the fingerprint entry right where they anticipated it. What I did modify was my banking security. I included two-factor authentication, not the simple kind, genuine verification, something they couldn't replicate with my thumb. So when they attempted to move money, the application would record the effort, halt the transaction, and create a record. And then I established the recording, not with some obvious red indicator or flashing dot. If they'd noticed that, it wouldn't have functioned. But I understand how to operate audio in the background. No alerts, no visible applications, nothing on the display. That's the aspect they didn't comprehend. I work in technology. I construct systems for people who attempt to outmaneuver other people. And I knew precisely what they'd miss. While they were opening my phone and attempting to steal from me, they were recording themselves executing it. Every statement, every effort, all of it. They believed I was unconscious. But the reality is, I was ahead of them before I even returned to the table. I drove to the police department like I was going to the market. Not quickly, not trembling, just steady. I parked, entered, stood in line behind a man inquiring about parking violations. And then I informed the woman behind the glass that I needed to report a crime. She inquired what type. They drugged me, I stated, and attempted to steal from me. I have the recording. She blinked. Do you know who executed it? Yes, I stated. My parents and my sister. That's when she ceased blinking. They provided me a seat in a quiet room with an officer who didn't inquire why I hadn't gone to the hospital or why I wasn't weeping. He just listened. I played the audio file. He sat through the complete thing before asking, "Do you understand what they were attempting to accomplish?" "Yes," I responded. "They were pursuing my money." I sent him the file, indicated the timestamps, and guided him through the activity records on my banking application. He nodded frequently, wrote down some notes, and typed carefully into a computer system that appeared at least a decade outdated. "This is serious," he stated. I gave a small shrug. Yes, it was. He inquired if I was fine, if I had a location to stay, and whether I required any type of assistance. I informed him I'd already departed. It was my first time ever submitting a police report, but I didn't feel frightened. Not anymore. 2 days afterward, my phone buzzed continuously. 3 messages and a voicemail all before midday. The first was from my mother. "Did you actually report your own family? Then, what is wrong with you?" I didn't reply. My sister left a voicemail. Her voice sounded tense, almost trembling. "It was just an error. You made it worse than it needed to be." Next came a call from my father. I allowed it to go to voicemail as well. "You think the police will repair this?" he stated. "You're going to ruin everything. You don't do this to your own people." I texted back one time. "You drugged me. You attempted to rob me. That's not family. That's a crime." Then I blocked them. All of them. Mother, father, my sister, group conversations, every contact, even emergency overrides. I changed my phone number, revised my will, froze my credit just in case. I thought severing connections would hurt more, but it didn't. It felt like I could finally breathe. They didn't challenge the charges. Not after the audio, not after the bank attempts matched perfectly with the timestamps. Not after the detective stated, "We can manage this the easy way." Attempted fraud, biometric misuse, conspiracy, administering a substance without consent. All 3 of them together. The recording expressed everything I didn't need to. They received probation, 1 year, penalties, community service, no contact directive, no jail time. But the mark remained. I never contacted them, never inquired how things concluded. But information finds you eventually. A relative on my father's side mentioned they'd sold the residence. Debt, legal expenses, attempting to salvage whatever remained. Nobody in the family responded. Just silence. As for my sister, I observed her once accidentally at a grocery store across town. She didn't see me. Or perhaps she did and just continued facing the shelf like it contained all the solutions. She was wearing a polo and a vest, arranging paper towels, avoiding any eye contact. Guess finance wasn't the correct choice after all. I said nothing. Just paid for my pasta and exited. Her boyfriend departed. I heard that from a mutual friend. Not someone close, just someone who still monitors everyone. Apparently, he moved out a few weeks after everything was revealed. No drama, just packed up and vanished. Some things don't require explanations. They communicate for themselves. And me, I don't receive texts requesting help anymore. No more group conversations. No more guilt presented as obligation. I work. I sleep. I open my refrigerator and know every single item inside was purchased by me for me. I thought cutting ties would be severe. Instead, it felt clean. So, what do you think? Did I go too far or not far enough? Drop a comment below. And don't forget to subscribe.